So welcome again, everyone. This is our second community meetup. We're organising it in collaboration with the Green Minds project, and it's going to be a really interesting opportunity to sort of find out a bit more about the theme for this one, which is nature and tech. So during this meetup, you'll have the opportunity to find out more about ways of protecting nature and wildlife in Plymouth and the region, so sharing ideas and initiatives. And you also get to meet new people. And today also turns out to be the world's Creativity and Innovation Day. And tomorrow, I think, is going to be the Earth Day. So we've got so many things to celebrate, guys. And more seriously, it's just a great sort of opportunity to just be all together and to be taking action for the environment in a creative way. Which is what these meetups are all about. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Ellie. I look after the Smart Citizens program, and I'll be facilitating this meetup together with the organizing team. So we've got Sophie, who works with me on Smart Citizens, and we've also got Amy and Gemma, who works on the Green Minds project, and you'll get to meet more absolutely amazing people and guest speakers later on during the meetup. So this event is very much informal. Make yourself comfortable, grab a drink and a few snacks. We'll have more sort of interactive parts where we'll be sharing different ideas. But to start with, we'll give you an introduction of Smart Citizens and Green Minds, and then we'll move on to a more sort of interactive session. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And I'm just going to kick off here with an introduction of Smart Citizens. So the program really focuses on skills and learning. And we deliver a wide range of workshops, talks, meetups, training that focus on digital design and digital fabrication. So what we do is we're looking at opening Fab Lab to communities, and we support citizens to learn how to design and make objects, products, artwork using digital fabrication and cutting-edge technology. And our objective really through the program is to empower a community of citizen makers that will champion sort of designing innovative solutions to make Plymouth more sustainable. And to do that, we've got a wide range of themes, such as conservation and environment, which is why we're having this meetup tonight, but also agri-foods, Fab City, experimental manufacturing, and many more. So what we do is that we come up with workshops, meetup, talks, training around these themes, and we link them up with the Fab Lab processes. We also connect people, connect ideas, and that's pretty much Smart Citizens in a nutshell. We're part of a much bigger project that's called I'm a Flower, really working around enriching lives in Plymouth, focusing on creative talents, business supports, digital fabrication, and immersive technologies. And we are funded by the Arts Council England, which means that the activities we deliver through the program are free and open to everyone, which is really fantastic. So that's it for Smart Citizens and I'm a Flower. I'm now going to tell you a tiny bit more about digital fabrication. And to put it simply, digital fabrication is a manufacturing process, so a making process, where the machine used is controlled by a computer. And I'm not going to go into too many technical details, but what really makes it so revolutionary is that in order to make something, you now only need to know how to design an object, so how to use CAD software, which are the design softwares. And then once you've got your design file, you just upload it onto a machine. So that machine could be a 3D printer, a laser cutter, a water jet cutter, a CNC machine. You'll have to come down in the Fab Lab to see the facilities. But once you've got the design file on the machine, you need to get your settings right, put the material in, and just press start, and then the machine does it all for you. And that's really empowering, and it's got so much potential that we're talking of a matter of seconds or minutes or hours or days, depending on the sort of size of your objects and the machines that you're using. But it's got so much to offer to communities, and that's why we're sort of we launched the Smart Citizens program, because we want to engage and allow people to make what they need locally. There is a huge potential with Fab Labs being able to sort of make on a small scale, which is really good for communities' needs, local production. It's amazing for prototyping. So we see a lot of prototyping going on in the Fab Lab, and the Fab Lab we're based in is Fab Lab Plymouth, which is located at Plymouth College of Arts. And yeah, the sort of audience we support is really broad. So goes from local communities, students, entrepreneurs, artists, businesses, makers. Everyone is welcome. So I hope that's been sort of helping you to identify the sort of learning and the making opportunities that you have available for you at the Fab Lab and through Smart Citizens. And I will now hand over to Gemma and Amy from Green Minds to sort of take you through their projects. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Ellie. And I'm both kind of baffled and excited but when I hear you talk about the kind of digital fabrication, the possibilities for design and tech production. It's not in my world, but it's really exciting, and I'm trying to get my head around it. So I'm really intrigued to see what comes out of this evening, and to have other perspectives on this, and how we can kind of bring those nature and tech elements together. So I'm just going to give you a really brief overview from Green Minds, because we have got some of our more digitally literate partners here this evening, going to talk a bit more about that element of Green Minds. So Green Minds is a program that's very much a partnership-led program. But myself, I work for Plymouth City Council, and we're the lead partner on it. It's funded through the Urban Innovation Actions funding, through European funding. So it's really about how we work as a city. We work collaboratively to look at kind of nature-based solutions and more sustainable land management. So in Plymouth, our big focus is around urban rewilding and how we can start to put nature much more at the heart of our decision making, and how we can build participation in that. So whether that's residents working in the city, whether that's professionals in different disciplines, looking at how they can bring nature to, whether it's planning and landscape architect or engineering solutions, digital kind of solutions. So we really want to work with a really broad audience that supports connection to nature through some of our engagement work, particularly our upcoming Take Action for Wildlife and Nature Maker programs that are coming up, through things like our emerging rewilding network, where we're working a lot with community and voluntary sector about how we can kind of, again, pull that network together, how we can celebrate the work that people are doing already in the city around urban rewilding, and how we can kind of build a movement to create more of that too. So we're also working with national organisations like Rewilding Britain to see how they can better support that too. So it is really challenging, and there are, without going into any detail at all, we've got a number of programs running, whether that's how people can get involved in citizen science type work and help us kind of monitor and support kind of gathering ecological data, whether that's helping with practical conservation on the ground, kind of celebrating some of that work through some more kind of arts-based work and things like the immersive film that Rio are leading in our partnership. And also things like that are kind of part of our flagship, I suppose, rewilding approach of that, for example, the beaver reintroduction, which I'm probably most people here have heard of that today already. So although we've got quite a new project getting going over the last year, we've already had quite an impact in terms of the beaver reintroduction. But Plymouth City Council also led the planting of more than 2,000 trees this winter That's also part of our urban tree challenge. And we radically over the last year changed our grass cutting regimes, and are now 40% of our grassland is now managed for wildflowers and wild grasses. So that's a huge increase. So we're already kind of taking action, and really want to build from that. So we have two of the main partners here this evening, Data Place and the University of Plymouth, who are working on their kind of Smart Urban Futures programme, and understand much more about kind of this kind of smart cities approach. So we're definitely learning from them, and I want to give most of this section over really for them to talk about this evening. But there's lots of our kind of contact information on the various slides around the Miro board, so please obviously do get in touch if you haven't already, and we look forward to hearing from you. So thank you.
Great, thanks, Gemma. I'm just going to hand over to Catherine and Martin now to tell us a bit more about the different projects relating to tech as part of Green Minds.
Thank you very much, Ellie. Catherine, shall I go first? Very quickly set the scene, and then you can talk a bit about some of the things you're doing. So with the Green Minds programme, there's a sort of double, there's two layers of digital kind of interventions in this. One is about data, and one is about data infrastructure and understanding how we can get data out of our green spaces and into the hands of citizens, so that people can see what's going on, so we can use data in order to sort of like shine a light on what's happening with nature in the city. And we've got a number of platforms that we're starting to build and prototype, which are helping to do. The city already has an open data platform, but we're building a kind of specialized version of that. And we're also we had a meeting of the Rewilding Network a couple of weeks ago, and we're trying to build a little bit of a platform, prototype platform, to help them understand what each individual group is doing in the city. So there's that, and that information is all going to be open. So there'll be a lot of open data available around what's going on in green spaces. There's already a bit, the City Council releases it, but there's a lot more data out there that other partners have and other organisations have in the city. In fact, there's Plymouth is world leading in marine science, as some of you probably know, and there's many hundreds of gigabytes of data available around that, but it's sometimes difficult to navigate. And so one of the things we're trying to do is build a little guide for it. And on top of that, the Data Place, the company that I work for, we're also supporting the Plymouth University, who are doing a bunch of sort of experiments and interventions. And Catherine, Professor Willis, is say a bit more about that now.
Thanks, Martin. Yes, so our approach is sort of working with that data, but thinking about, I mean, interestingly, a lot of the sort of sensing experiments have often been done in sort of urban situations. And I think, like Ellie's sort of come up, picked up on this idea about what the potential is around green space. And so we've been looking at how we can engage people with green space through sort of sensing experiments and sort of engaging them with sort of revealing hidden nature through some of the ways that data becomes visible in the space. So I don't know if you can see in that picture, it's a lamppost with a sensor on it. So what we've been doing is setting up what we've called a living lab currently in Central Park, which includes those sensors on lampposts and an open data sensor network across the city, which uses a network called LoRaWAN, which is really open to all. So I think one of the things from today's event is, opportunity. If people are interested in working with that sensor data, we can make that available to people. They can access it and look at it. We're looking at also using augmented reality and other ways in which people can sort of visualize things in the park. There's lots of interesting pollinators, and I know Pollenize are going to speak in a minute. So we're looking at all the exciting work that Pollenize are doing. So we're in our first year of the project. It's a 3-year project. It's been given an extension due to COVID. So lots of potential people to get involved. And like I said, there's a sort of living lab pilot in Central Park, but we're also looking to work out at Poole Farm, which is where the beavers are, in Devonport Park, Victoria Park, and out at Saltram, which is the National Trust site out on the east of the city. So lots of things to people potentially get involved in as we go forward, and COVID restrictions make everything a bit easier. And yeah, happy to hear all the other exciting things happening in the city as well.
Fantastic. Thank you, Catherine. And I think you're right. I mean, there are just so many opportunities for citizens to get involved in now with the Green Mind project and also other initiatives that are happening in the city. So we've got a couple of guest speakers that are with us tonight as well. So you guys will be able to find out a bit more about what's happening around their sort of practice and how they mix technology with sort of nature conservation, which is absolutely mind-blowing. So thanks, Green Minds, for joining us to this meetup. And what we'll do now, before we hear about the guest speakers, is move on to a bit more of an interactive little play around. So as you can see on my screen, I'm using another platform which is called Miro. So we're hosting the meetup with Google Meet, but we're sharing ideas with another platform that's called Miro. So we're ready to move on to the introductions. So we wanted to do it a little bit differently on this one and have a bit of an interactive introduction board. Okay, so I'm going to start having a look at what everyone's sort of expecting to find out during the meetup. So sharing about great initiatives and new ideas, how it can make a difference, increasing my understanding about how nature and tech can support and benefit each other. That's fantastic. Better understand how and why people in the group engage with nature and how we can best support that. Inviting everyone to join Moth to a Flame, finding out about other exciting projects, that's great. And explain how we use tech to better understand our environment. I think that's a really good one as well. Find out how people can use data to help the environment, digital technology for inclusion and engagement in the city's green and blue spaces, absolutely. And then interested in how real ideas, in particular market talk and support projects, collaboration, partnership. Yeah, definitely fair. Be a good opportunity for that. And then we've got opportunities to connect with others, get support, collaborate with creating environmental art with Plymouth. Yeah, that sounds great, Chloe, yeah. And then interested in initiatives happening in the city, connect with others. Yeah, that's what this is all about, absolutely. I'm hoping to find out how to make sure my visual storytelling is in tune with how data is presented and how data can be incorporated into the work. Sounds interesting as well. Okay, so what we'll do now, just to put a sort of voice on the different faces, is that we'll just start introducing ourselves following the order on the interactive boards, and then once you've sort of introduced yourself, we won't have time to go too much into details, but we've got the board to really see you know, what you're interested in and where you're from. So if you just want to jump in and say your name and then hand over to the person next to you, that'd be fantastic. So I'll kickstart this one. So as you know, I'm Ellie, and yeah, part of the Smart Citizens team, and I'm just going to hand over to Sophie.
Hi, I'm Sophie, and again, I'm part of the Smart Citizens team. Lovely to meet you all. I'll hand over to Gemma.
Hello, said hello already, and here representing Green Minds at Plymouth City Council, and I will hand over to my colleague Emmy.
Hello there, my name's Emmy. I'm working on the Green Minds project. I'm very lucky to be doing so, and I'm looking forward to hearing everybody's ideas today. And I'm going to hand over to Jenny.
Hi, I'm Jenny from Art and Energy, and I'll be speaking very shortly, so I'm going to hand over to Owen.
Hi everyone, my name's Owen. I'm one of the directors at Pollenize, and I'm one of the guest speakers tonight. So yeah, a bit more information in a bit, and I'll pass on to Martin.
Thanks, Owen. So yeah, I'm Martin Harrop from the Data Place. I've already spoken a bit this evening, so I'll hand over to Catherine.
So same for me. I'm Catherine Willis from University of Plymouth in the School of Art, Design and Architecture, and one of the partners on the Green Minds project. And yeah, working on the Living Lab. And I shall pass over to Claire Honey at Rio.
Hi, yes, I'm Claire from Real Ideas, and really delighted to be here this evening to meet you all. And I've spoken to a lot of you already about Market Hall and everything else, but yeah, any questions, stuff, let me know. I'm going to hand over to Chris Clark.
Hi everybody, I'm Chris. I'm a local photographer specializing in conservation issues.
I'll just ask Chloe to jump in and introduce herself, and then we'll sort of follow the board, if that's all right.
Hello, I'm Chloe. I'm a designer and youth worker. Nice to meet you all.
Hi, I'm Beth. I'm a master's student at Plymouth Uni. I'm looking into sort of Fab City, circular economy, and how we can sort of put all of the amazing things that are happening in Plymouth and work together in better ways, really.
Lee, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, hi, I'm Lee Nutby. I'm a creative technologist in Plymouth, and I'm working on the Smart Citizen project, and looking forward to chatting to you all later.
Sounds great. Over to Hayley.
Hi, I'm Hayley, and I'm one of the Green Minds team, and I work with Gemma and Emmy at Plymouth City Council.
Simon.
Hi everyone, Simon. I work for Devon County Council, but I'm interested in bringing some of this stuff to schools that I work with, which across Plymouth.
Great. Dean?
Hello, I'm Dean from Click. I'm a part of the North Stonehouse. Can you hear me? And I'm literally here to network to try and get the people in Stonehouse to come out of their little isolation cubes and get back into the green world.
Sounds great. Good to have you here. Maria-Angelis?
Hello, I'm Maria Angeles Boronat, and I do design, and I'm participant in the citizen program and interested in, in 3D design. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Joanna?
Hi, my name's Johanna, and I'm actually from Exeter, and very amazed and excited by all the things you do down in Plymouth. I'm also a founder of the Exeter Seed Bank, and we have a commission that we have for a kiosk, a cardboard kiosk we would like designed as a 3D thing out of cardboard. And so really interested in the Fab Lab connections with nature. And it's available on the Northcott Theatre website, or I can give details about it as well, the brief for this commission.
Absolutely, sounds great. Thanks, Joanna. Over to Claire.
Hi everyone. Actually, I've just left the internet. My Wi-Fi went down and I've returned just in time, so that's lovely. I'm just here. I work for Sustrans in Plymouth. I'm interested in all the other things that go on that make places greener, and tech seems to be a really interesting way in that. So yeah, glad to be here.
Great to have you. Thank you. So I think Dean introduced himself earlier. We've also got Chris Smith. Do you want to jump in?
Hi, yeah. So I teach on pre-degree at Plymouth College of Art. So I'm looking to find ways to help the students get involved with projects where they do, environmental learning, but then also get to apply their design skills to it. And I also run a project called the New Futures Academy over Totnes Way, which is about ecological learning, more of a land-based type of work.
Fantastic. Thank you, Chris. And we might have missed a few people, but it's really lovely to hear your voices and see your faces, or the different images that have been used. That's absolutely fantastic, and great to have everyone with us tonight. We're just going to move on to the art and energy presentation, which is part of that sort of guest speaker intro. So I'm just going to hand over to Jenny. So Jenny, you are an artist, glassblower, and also director at the Art and Energy CIC. Can you tell us a bit more about what you do?
Yeah, hi everybody. It's so exciting hearing everybody speak and the varied backgrounds and so on in this room. Plymouth really is such an exciting place to be. Is it possible to have the timer set, please? Because otherwise I'm likely to yak on a little bit as well. I'm Jenny, and so I'm in that picture there, and pictured there alongside Chloe and Naomi, and we're kind of the core of the team, but we describe ourselves as a collective and a kind of fuzzy at the edges organisation. So we work with loads of different people. I'm an artist. Naomi comes more from the ecology background and encouraging people to get out into nature, and Chloe comes from arts, performance arts, but also sustainable energy background. And so art and energy is pretty much, as it says on the tin, all about art and energy, and in particular in finding ways through creativity to engage people with the energy that we are so reliant on. And that comes all the way through from the sunlight, photosynthesis, food chains and so on, but also things like solar panels, wind turbines, any kind of form of energy generation. And so the way that we generate the energy, the electricity that we rely on, the way that we use it, and sadly the way that it's also wasted. And we're very much championing the renewable angle. And one thing that we've found in a lot of our conversations is this thing that energy is intangible and so often invisible, and so we don't notice it. But when you look at things like the government policies and so on becoming carbon neutral, it all comes back to our energy systems at the end of the day. So it's so important to think about. If you could just scroll down a little bit on the screen. So we have done quite a bit to do with solar panels and creating artworks that involve solar cells, so they actually generate power. And the picture just below that is of a workshop where we are working with some young people to make these solar artworks. And there is this real magic moment. And the one that's pictured just below this at the moment was the first solar artwork that I ever helped somebody else make. So we worked with a bunch of youngsters aged 7 to 12, but actually we've worked with all ages, with grown-ups as well, creating something that generates power. And that moment when you go from touching this solar cell, which usually they're encapsulated when they arrive in this country, and so even solar installers don't get a chance to do that, and realize how magic it is, but also how it's within our reach to make something that generates electricity. But at the moment, we're working on a project called Moths to a Flame. And if you would just go up to the, yeah, thank you. And so Moths to a Flame is all about taking the message of hope from thousands of people to COP26, to the United Nations Climate Conference, which is happening in Glasgow in November of this year. Obviously, it was supposed to be November of last year, and we had this fairly small, succinct project, and adding on another 12 months and a lot of creativity and passion, and it's grown massively. So moths, why moths? Well, moths are attracted to light, often bringing them into quite hazardous situations. We as human beings are attracted to energy and to technology, and again, that isn't always a great relationship. Moths are also an indicator species, so they give us a real insight into what's going on in the world in terms of, as we'll hear shortly from Owen, pollinators and the health of the world in which we live. So Moths to a Flame would really love to invite you all to get involved. And there are lots of ways to do that. I'll share the link in the chat in a minute for the website. One of the things we're doing is we're going to be creating a mass participation art installation up in Glasgow, and that is going to consist of 20,000 moths made from plastic milk bottles. So all the instructions and everything you need to make your moths are on the website. Yeah, and we've got a digital element. So we've got an augmented reality colouring sheet where you can colour in your moth and bring it to life. And we're really excited to be working with the team at Rio, with the market hall, in Plymouth to take that on to the next stage. So watch this space on that front. But again, the colouring sheet is free to download from our website. We've also got lots of different online sessions going on, from moth watching all the way through to how to make your AR moths and to make your milk bottle moths. And then we're also recording people's audio whispers of hope. We've all got these little things that we do individually, but when you put them together, we can create a roar for change. The bottom right hand picture there, we're working with school children in 20 primary schools in Plymouth, and we're delivering packs into the schools. But we've also got there's so many resources on the website which are free to download and get involved with. I've probably missed out lots. Sorry, it's a bit of a big project, but do visit the website mothstoaflame.art to find out more, and we'd love you all to get involved.
Yeah, thank you so much, Connie. Great timing, and we'll make sure to share the website. We've got a little section where you can find a bit more as well on this board. So yeah, what Art and Energy is doing is absolutely fantastic, and there are ways to get involved in the preparation for the COP26. So yeah, watch out this space and I'll move on to our second guest speakers this evening, and it's so fantastic to have you guys, be with us for the meetup. So that just brings it to life a little bit with some clear examples of what's going on. So I'll hand over to Owen. So Owen, you're the director, co-director and founder of Pollenize, which is a social enterprise based here in Plymouth. Do you want to tell us a bit more about what you do?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Ellie. Yeah, so Pollenize, it began in 2018, and it was born out of a challenge that Matt and I faced. Who's the other director there? You can see in the white bee suit, and we both suffer from hay fever, like in quite a bad way in the summertime. So we thought, let's put a beehive in our allotment, and we'll use that honey to alleviate some of our symptoms. And one thing led to another, actually, where we weren't able to put the beehives in the allotment. So we contacted Claire at Rio, and she kindly let us use a space that wasn't being used at the Guildhall. And basically one thing led to another. We started keeping bees on iconic and interesting sites across the city. And we stock them with the native honeybee to the area. So that's part of a conservation effort. And the principle behind these beehive sites across the city is for them to be community assets, and those community assets then become places in which people can learn about beekeeping, they can learn about conservation in general, and the ways we sort of tried to sort of mitigate that process where we strategically put beehives across the city is to we have wildflower seed packets that we encourage the public to plant. And what's kind of unique about what we do with those seed packets is that you're able to log your sowing location, so you can see where effective sort of sowing is happening across the city. So it allows people to sort of see the progress of what's being made in that sense. So, and also that obviously provides a lot of great forage and habitat for all pollinators in the city as well. The other sort of important science we extract from the hives is we collect pollen on a weekly basis throughout the beekeeping calendar, which is basically from the end of March till September. And it's kind of hard to explain without having it on here, but there's two tubes that go in the hive and two tubes that go out the hive, and that directs the traffic of the bees going in and out. And the pollen passively drops onto these tubes, and we take them out weekly, and then we replace it with clean ones. We then collect that pollen and then send it away at the end of the year, and then it helps us build a picture of what the bees are actually foraging on in the area. And in time, when we get these results back, it will help inform how we prescribe seed packets on a postcode by postcode basis. So it really is using the bees as biosensors, and they're telling us what we need to do, because they've been doing it for thousands of years. So and they exist perfectly as well, but they happen to be an insect that we can manage and extract data from. So that's one of our sort of main focuses. But what we want to do is enable people to take action, because that's very much what was born out of mine and Matt's sort of frustration, is that you can see all these sort of problems across the world, and you think, well, how can I make a difference? What can I do? And we sort of boiled it down to the fact that everyone can do something locally, and it's just those small little actions and those small little moments you take to take care for the environment, which very much sort of like echoes what Jenny's been saying about her work as well. So yeah, in a nutshell, I'm good for time, that's not too bad, but okay, I'll go on a bit more. So you can see on that slide there, so that's like a digital mock-up of what it would look like. So say you can see the longitude and latitude, and we use What 3 Words, which is a platform where I know Martin or Catherine might tell me off here for getting it wrong, but I think it's someone's divided the world up into meter squared grids and assigned like 3 random words to it, I think. So that's how we basically give people the ability to log their sowing location. And then there's a digital mock-up there of the pollen reports saying, in June there was a big fluctuation of this, and that came into the beehives. We actually did get a honey report back from our Devonport site, and one of the biggest foraging sources was privet and forget-me-nots and bramble as well. So it's good you can kind of understand the foraging radius in which bees go to get nectar and pollen, and if they're going too far or if they're going too close, it kind of indicates forage availability then. So yeah, there's lots to be extracted from hives essentially, and we use them as an asset and an indicator of the health of the environment. And I shall wrap up there. Cheers.
Wow, fantastic timing, Owen, and great presentation. I mean, just going back to the seed packet for the wildflowers, it's been really useful to very easy to use and to plant out as well. The dashboards is super simple, good layout, and it's great to see like more people planting out as well across Plymouth. So yeah, great project, and thanks for joining us. Right, everyone, let's come back online and move on to the second part of the meetup, which is the actual workshop, collaborative workshop, where we're going to be sharing ideas and initiatives. So the way we want to do this with you guys tonight is just following very simple sort of design thinking principles that we use when we want to understand the topic and find a sort of issue, and then identify a need, and then define an idea or a solution. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. And you can see we've got different sections on the board. So we're just going to start off with the first, asking ourselves one main question for about 5 minutes. So I'll set up the timer, which is what exactly comes to your mind when you think about Plymouth, nature, and wildlife. So as you can see, we've got 2 different little categories here. We're looking for interesting facts, but also understand the threats and issues that might come to your mind when it comes to, nature and wildlife and Plymouth. So as you can see, we've already got a few facts on the boards, just to give you an example. And I'll ask the colleagues and organizing team to jump in. But when you look at the key facts and thinking about nature and Plymouth, it's quite incredible to realize that Plymouth is actually made up of 40% of green spaces. So we do have a lot of green spaces, a lot of nature to protect. So as some of you know already, it does improve, well-being to spend time in nature as well. I can see that We've got nearly 400,000 trees in the city, and they remove almost the equivalent of 3 million worth of pollution each year. So that's a crazy fact for you out there. And just looking at the other things that you guys are adding up, feel free to jump in as well if you can think of something and you want to give us a bit more details. Just unmute yourself and jump in. It's great to share that knowledge, and that's going to allow us to understand the theme, and then gradually we're going to start identifying ideas. So just looking at what you guys are adding. Plymouth Sound has become the first national marine park in the UK. Absolutely. And yeah, connecting data and economic well-being in poor parts of the city are going to be essential for these ideas and movements to take root. Definitely. It rains quite a lot. Tell me about it. Mind you, I'm from Brittany, so it's not far away, and it's the same. But come on, look at the past few days. It hasn't been raining for quite a long time, so we're lucky. Yeah. Hidden nature spots in the city. I think that must have been someone from Green Minds and adding that. I wouldn't mind if you guys could jump in and tell us a bit more about this hidden part of nature in the city. Do you want to tell us a bit more about that?
I'm happy to jump in. It's we're so lucky that we have so many iconic places. We have the Hoe, we have places like the Barbican, we have Central Park, but all around the coast and in, like, even within the city as well, there are so many hidden woodlands and creeks and really valuable habitats and homes for wildlife. So you've got estuaries and you've got all of these wonderful freshwater habitats as well, and these woodlands which are hidden sort of in the northwest of the city. And I'm actually in the chat. We did an article with Plymouth City Council about hidden gems around Plymouth. So if that has whet your appetite, then have a little look at that and see if you visited some of them.
Mm-hmm. Sounds great. Thanks, Amy. And then looking at the threats and issues, obviously we've got climate change, but more specifically, it's true that Plymouth is growing as a city, and we need to make sure that we do so sustainably. So we've got some other things that have been added: decline in wildlife, light pollution, sea level rise. Many people often see nature and technology as conflicting, and I think in many cases they are, but there are also opportunities and clear examples of technology working hand in hand with nature. So we need to see more of that, and we need to be part of it, I think. Let's have a look. Feel free to jump in, guys, if you want to talk about something specific. But yeah, again, that comes up, the pollution issue with air, noise, lights, loss of habitats, absolutely. So I think we've got a rough understanding here, and really fantastic to see you guys cracking on so much and adding so many points there. We will keep that board, and we'll come back to it even after the meetup. That'll be quite a useful tool for taking some of these ideas that will come up forward. But let's move on to the second part of this activity. So the second question, which is what's already happening in the city to protect nature and wildlife. So I think we've got a few examples already. Green Minds, do you want to jump in to talk about the beavers?
Yeah, so obviously the beaver reintroduction, which Chris Parks here actually has done some, and that's one of his photos, and has been a kind of key part in documenting that. It's been a real flagship project, as obviously it's generated huge amounts of interest. I don't think we've ever known as a council have such massive interaction with our social media accounts. It was huge, and I think it's really captures people's hearts. So I think it's really interesting that there's this story about this reconnection, and yes, they're furry and cuddly and cute, but also it's kind of what it represents. We're bringing something back to a place where we managed, we hunted them to extinction. So I think there's something really interesting in the kind of story of bringing back the beavers, as well as the role they're going to start playing in terms of how we manage our water and the kind of impact on the habitat in the area. And obviously we're really monitoring that really closely, and we're working with the Universities of Exeter and Plymouth on the kind of social impact of bringing back the beavers, but also the ecological impact and the flooding impact as well, and impact on water quality. So there's it's been closely followed, and there's a lot of interest nationally. It was the first urban reintroduction, so a lot of other local authorities are really interested in the approach and are kind of watching it unfold closely, and again, the community have really taken ownership of the beavers. So yeah, it's a really exciting piece of our work, but I'm keen that we kind of capitalize on that charismatic species, and how do we spread the rewilding message further.
Absolutely, thanks, Jim. And that's happening in the Derryford Community Park, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So it's all in the back of the hospital there, in the valleys there. So yeah, great space to have.
Fantastic. I can see that we've also got as Owen was saying, the different beehives that are on rooftops across the city. Is that right, Owen? You've got about 10 across the city?
Yeah, so we've got there's 9 sites across the city, and they're all familiar Plymouth landmarks, which everyone here will know. Some of them are like tucked away in really nice, beautiful gardens that are sort of tucked away from the public, and some of them are set on rooftops, which only Matt and I can really go and see. But the 2 that we use to bring the public to are at with Rio and with Urban Splash as well at Royal William Yard. So but yeah, they're we usually set it up in that format you can see in the picture there, 2 highs with a bench, and with all the equipment. Well, you can't quite see it, but there's a load of equipment behind it which we use to keep all the tools and all the other bits we need for them as well.
Fantastic, and I'll jump in with the next example here, which is a birdhouse that we've been making in the Fab Lab with the Smart Citizens. So that's the type of workshop that we're delivering, just around the sort of nature and conservation. So we designed it, and then we made it using the laser cutter and plywoods, and I'm pretty sure that's Jenny's birdhouse. So is it working well, Jenny? Can you update us on that? Is it in your garden somewhere?
I have to confess it's not. It's in my studio, because I'm planning to add some solar cells to it and do something a bit funky, again with that integration of the tech and the nature together in the longer run. But it was a really fun workshop to come along and get creative and make something. It was lovely, and to get to see the Fab Lab and all the equipment was great.
Fantastic. So jumping on other ideas I can see here, we've got Devon Biosphere Bat Ultrasonic Sensor. Do you want to jump in, Lee?
Yes, so I've worked on a project before with North Devon Bioreserve, and we kind of put a load of sensors out just to sense the environment and stream that data through to sort of an open space that people can use that data, and use it in schools to show children how to use that data and act upon that data. Some of the things that are sort of we got from doing that project, which are kind of linked into some of the things you've been saying, with the sort of the arts and energy sort of the art and energy guys are working a lot with solar panels. Some of the things that we sort of got out of that project was that to use technology more efficiently. So, for example, a solar panel generates energy, but at the same time, it's reading the amount of light that's coming into that solar panel. So rather than having a device that's got a light sensor, you just use the solar panel to create energy and to read what the light energy source is. Lots of other little things like using wind vanes and wind sensors, which are currently used quite a lot And you've got these little things that are spinning around. And if you attach a motor to them, not only can you sort of get what the wind speed is, but you also generate energy. So it's just kind of like using the technologies that we've already got, but in a more efficient way. And one of the kind of things that I'm interested in at the moment is light pollution. So we go back to, I think, is it Moss to the Flame? Yeah, so like just interesting things, because everything's gone LED. And before we had LED, with halogen, we used to have this orange glow on the planet. But now with LED, it's all white light. Just some stats that I found recently. So in Germany, 60 billion insects were killed in one summer from flying into lights. So the street lamps and stuff. And they are flying and knock themselves out, or they collapse from just circling for hours. But 60 million in one summer. And the light pollution is really affecting everything. So in the UK, a study over trees over a 13-year period found that they are budding 1 week earlier. Now, it only sounds like 1 week, but that's the equivalent of a 2 degrees rise in global warming. So it's really light pollution at the moment. That's what I'm kind of interested in. It's really sort of affecting things, and it's coming from streetlights and traffic. And all cars now have got LED lighting as headlights. Well, that can see so much further. It's the white light. It's so much in nature. It depends on a broad spectrum of light, and white light affects everything. So I'm kind of interested on how we can sort of reduce light pollution, especially LED light pollution. Whereas the thing at the moment seems to be make everything LED because it's cheap.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be something to focus on, that sort of light pollution as well, isn't it? So yeah, thanks for that, Lee. And just looking at other different ideas, I know from the flyer of this event, we had the Plymouth Open Data Platform. So I know that Catherine did tell us a bit about that as well, which is really fantastic. But you guys are so on it. You've added so many other things, which is fantastic. So you've got Environment Plymouth community groups, and we'll share details of contact people you can get in touch with if you want to get involved. What else do we have? Plymouth River Keepers and Citizen Science Investigation with West Country River Trust. Art project raising awareness of environmental issues. Yeah, feel free to share examples and names for that. Be good to look it up. But yeah, no, that's fantastic. I'm just aware of time, but it's really good to just have a brief look before we move on to the next section, where we're going to have a bit more time. So we've got 10 minutes on that one, which is literally what else could we do, and how can we sort of take it further as a community locally. So when we think about these things, we've got to think big at first. And if I can give you a few sort of prompts on that, and I'll just set the timer as well. If you need to get some inspiration, think about the bits of nature that are hidden. How can we reveal them? Amy did talk about that a little bit earlier. How can we give people access to nature as well? What data is collected and how we can make sure to use it in a way that's going to be benefiting nature and wildlife. Have you seen something happening elsewhere, internationally or nationally, that is really interesting and that we should maybe consider doing? And then your own ideas, guys. Just go wild and just share your thoughts. It always starts with one thought, and then something adds a bit to it, and then it becomes a little bit bigger, which is fantastic. So the examples that you can see on here, we've got an international example. We could get some inspiration from, which is the house that you can see here. It's in that sort of wasp hive shape, and that's been done in Italy, and it's basically an eco home that's 3D printed, but in a very different way. I'm sure you've heard of houses being 3D printed, but that's usually using concrete. And when we think about 3D printing anyway, we think about plastic, and these guys are absolutely groundbreaking in their practice, because they use locally sourced clay. And we used to work with clay a long time ago in Devon. So what can we do around that? And that's something that we're sort of exploring at the college with a clay printer. And how amazing would it be if we can start making houses with locally sourced and natural material that wouldn't harm you in that environment, and same for nature. So these houses were 3D printed in 200 hours. So we'll host the WASP experts from Italy next week for a talk. So we'll talk about it more later on. But if you're interested in finding out more, there's definitely an opportunity there. And what else do we have? Augmented reality for a nature walk around Plymouth. That sounds really interesting as well. Feel free to jump in again to develop on these ideas. DIY citizen census kits and workshops. So one of the things that we're sort of working on at the moment with the Smart Citizens program is putting together a training to make what we call the Smart Citizens kits, which have been developed in Barcelona through the Fab City network, and are absolutely open source. And they sort of they're Arduino kits with different sensors that will be tracking things like light, noise, air temperature, humidity, barometric pressure, air pollution, CO2 levels, and you connect your kit, which is outside your house or your flat, let's say, and that generates data which can then capture the situation around you. And if we've got many different kits across the city, we can raise so much awareness, and that's a great sort of civic project to be able to know what's going on in the city. So that's something we'll be delivering as a training pretty soon, and we're super excited about it. But yeah, again, around this sort of conversation where we think about the data we capture, how it can benefit nature, raise awareness on the different issues we talked about earlier, and yeah. We've also made some, we're in the process of making some signs with Green Minds that you can see on the photo over here. So there's going to be more made, but we had a workshop not too long ago where we designed signs to sort of promote wildflower meadows in the city. So that's been laser cutted in plywood at the moment. And you'll be able to see this sort of artwork across the city and the different green spaces probably next month, which will be nice. So yeah, if we can do more of these type of things, that'd be really fantastic. Then we've got immersive experiences again that help inspire and encourage people to change behaviors. I think there's so much to do around that sort of raising awareness. Definitely crowdsourcing nature data across the city. I think we were talking about it earlier with Owen and Amy. How cool would it be? We're talking about like so many sensors being like developed across the city. It would be fantastic if we can gather all that data and have a sort of Plymouth dashboard and great illustrations so that it's easy to understand, and we can really sort of raise awareness with schools, but also anyone could just have a look and be quite inspired to take action as well.
Ellie, just to let you know, as part of the Green Minds, we have got some open source data, open sensor data in the city, which we haven't made public yet, but we have got some dashboards. So we've got a pollution sensor in Union Street now, and we're looking at the pollution data that's coming through. So if anyone's interested in, it's a little bit different from the smart systems kits. It's just a slightly different platform that uses something called LoRaWAN, which is an open sensor. But I've put a picture of the dashboard in the next green thing. So if anybody's interested or want to share some of that data, I just took that screen grab just now. So
okay.
Interesting. Union Street, they've got really poor fine dust particle levels, so it's actually, it's dangerous. So so it just starts to sort of show actually, what we do have some real issues with air pollution in the city, and obviously green space will help to mitigate those. So there's a story there we need to understand.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks, Catherine, for that info. It's we need to capture more of that data, and then hopefully have more trees and more wildlife to that's very interesting and
Excuse, sorry, Ellie. Just Claire here from Sustrans. I was just intrigued. I'm interested in the small particulate matters that you're talking about, those really small ones, and I do a lot of work with schools in Stonehouse area. So, how would one get in touch with you, Catherine, to find out about that data?
Well, you could just email me. We can put our details in. But I think we've only just got this sensor up and running, so we haven't really started to talk to you about it. But yeah, it'd be great to link with the schools and I think again,
we might be running we haven't permission yet, but we might be running a big it's under anti-idling, but for Clean Air Day on June the 17th, I've put in a bid for a lot of air pollution, test tube things. So it sounds like it would be interesting.
Well, obviously linking in with what Ellie's doing, because I think the smart system kits are really great too. But this is just because it uses the LoRaWAN network, which is basically an open sensor network. So anybody can buy a sensor and add into it, and we can create a dashboard for them. So it's another way of doing it. So we started with Stonehouse because I think Union Street, everyone knows that there's probably poor pollution on that street. So it'd be great to actually have a way to I think we were working with Nudge to try and help them understand that.
Just to add to that, the smart sensor kits have got air quality sensor, and they're looking at PM1, PM2.5, and PM10 particles. So PM10 is the biggest one, like soot and smoke and stuff that we see. For years now, people have been concentrating on PM2.5, which is like 1,000 times smaller or so. And the big one on the block at the moment for the last 10 years is PM1. So this is particles that are so small that when you inhale them, they can travel straight through your capillaries and straight into your bloodstream. So this is the big one at the moment, is particle 1. And the smart sensing kit is sensing all of that, and it's sending it out as live data that anyone can use. So
so that's it's a similar sort of thing we're doing. And so if you look on that thing, the red semicircle, that's the PM1 particles currently in Union Street, and they're dangerously high. So we've only just started looking at this data, but it definitely doesn't look good for PM1 in Union Street.
No, yeah, it's definitely the one. It's definitely the one to worry about. It's only been, it's PM1 is the latest one that people are looking at. Up until now, it's been more of PM2.5 and looking at CO2 emissions. But PM1, it just bypasses and goes straight into your bloodstream. So you really got to concentrate on PM1 particles.
Yeah, and I guess if it's not good for us, it's not good for wildlife either, is it? It's okay. So that's great. Thanks for all the info, guys. And just looking at different ideas that we've got. Nature theatre experiences, play in wild places. Absolutely. You've got some great ideas there. I'm just looking at the talking trees that can tell visitors about themselves. saw this in the Green Man Festival. It was magical, funny, and very informative. You can imagine some sort of, immersive experience around that as well. So, so basically, we're moving on to the next session, which is really around sort of shortlisting some of these ideas. So ideas that you guys really like, and as you can see, it's sort of splits into different categories. So we've got the community ideas, we've got the technology ones, and we've got the creativity ones. So if you guys want to move the ideas you really like across, that will be great. I'll give us a bit of time to sort of do that. And again, if you do want to jump in and develop on some of the ideas, that'd be great. Live streams of wildlife cams around the city. That's a really interesting one, and I wonder if Owen, you're doing something around that already, aren't you, with the cameras on the beehives? Is that right?
Yeah, we just recently finished a prototyping process with Swapton, which is the Southwest Creative Technology Network. We did it with Martin from the Data Place, who's on the call as well. And what we're trying to do is we're pointing a camera into the hive, and we're capturing the waggle dance that the honeybees perform, which indicate they're basically telling each other where some good forage is. So it's an insect language that we're able to decode with AI cameras. So once we know where they're going, we can also understand where they're actually going for forage as well. So yeah, it's another sort of extraction we're trying to take from the hive. So but yeah, we're just the prototype is in Matt's garden at the moment, and the guys from the Data Place have been over in the garden, like fixing all the components to it. We've sort of completely chopped in half of a beehive, and but yeah, it's all in the making. But yeah, we want to use cameras to help reveal that side of beehives, which sometimes people won't want to stick their head into a beehive, but rather look from behind a screen. So we're trying to get to that point.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks, Owen. And yeah, just jumping in on the get involved in Fab City forum will be happening in the near future. That sounds great. I mean, in a nutshell, Fab City is a global initiative looking at having cities that produce everything they need and consume by 2054. And we sort of joined the network, with as Plymouth back in 2019. So yeah, that'd be really good. Are you talking about the international forum?
No, I was in a meeting with Hannah Harris from Plymouth Culture and Ed Whitelaw, and they're sort of trying to push the Fab City thing, and they were talking about organising like an open forum soon. So I don't know the exact details. It's probably a bit premature to mention it, but I just figured as we're here, it might be good to let people know that that's on the horizon.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, because they also do a yearly conference with at a sort of international level. So I think this year it's happening in Montreal, but it will be online, and that's in August. So we'll share the details if you guys want to find out more. Yeah, interesting suggestion here, helping people to access many natural spaces around Plymouth through free green transport to remove the huge barrier that many people face when trying to get to a green space that isn't their local park. I think it's a really great one. Not sure any of the project will be able to sort of help too much on that one, but we can certainly push the word. Yeah.
Just an observation from so everyone knows where Central Park is. When you go along the pathway where the graveyard is, and then you come out onto Pennycombe Quick Roundabout, and then you can drop down into Victoria Park, and then go straight through, and then carry on over into opposite DHS for Boys, and like you can literally go through 3 parks with like barely going on the road. It's really nice. Well, I've only recently done it on my bike before, and it's a good route if you want to stay in parks the whole way across the city.
Oh, very good to know. Yeah, thanks, Owen. And I'm just seeing as well the 360 immersive dome to show content, visualize data, and engage communities. Are there any opportunities for citizens to get involved in that? I imagine this is Claire who's been adding this one. And can you tell us a bit more about it?
Was that one for me? I was writing a message to at the same time to say we could add that to that trail to the Destination Plymouth app. Would be a good one to add for how you can stay in parks. Yeah, it was just to put on there that it's a resource, but it kind of sits across all three of community, technology, and the creative side of stuff. But it is there as a resource for the city to use to visualize data and engage audiences.
And Claire, just to let everyone know as well, because they might not be aware, you're sort of in the planning of opening the market hall in Devonport, aren't you?
Yes, yes. So we're planning to open in May with small audiences, with a full-on launch in June and July. Not long now.
Fantastic would it be if we can sort of develop some content that would be raising awareness and that would be projected in the dome. I mean, yeah, that's something we can look at as well. Yeah, and then we've got some volunteering ideas with gardeners who transform or maintain gardens. Absolutely, sad or paved over gardens. Yeah. I imagine you've got some volunteering opportunities with Green Minds. I don't know if you'll be looking at these sort of actions.
Yeah, so there'll be I'm not sure who posted that, might have been Hayley up there, but yeah, next week we'll have our Take Action for Wildlife, which will include some kind of tech related opportunities for engagement, working around the citizen science work, but also we'll have our what would you call like our Nature Makers program, which is kind of broader engagement activities, but that will also be working with partners here today like Catherine and Martin around our how we can kind of use digital technologies to engage and reach out to wider audiences. So I think there's a role there with tech, which is around kind of engagement and bringing things to life for a whole different range of people.
That's great. Thanks, Gemma. So yeah, many ideas, which is absolutely fantastic. I'm aware of time. We did say we would finish in literally 4 minutes, so we might overrun a little bit, and apologies for that. But I hope you're finding this little exercise interesting and the overall session. What we wanted to do following the sort of short listing was having a look at ways of supporting each other and continuing this conversation and picking up on some of the ideas that have been added onto the board today. As I said earlier, the board will stay sort of accessible to anyone, and that's something we can come back to work on some of these ideas and hopefully take them forward. But you can find out a bit more about each of the programs we've got here with us tonight, and that will be available to support some of the ideas. So you can find details around ways to get involved. So if we look at the Smart Citizens program, you've got different skills that you can develop. You've got access to facilities in the Fab Lab. You can look at the different machines, the type of equipment we use, and we did add a few examples of things that you can make in the Fab Lab as well. So we've got an ambassadors program, so if you think this is great and more people should know about it and get involved and start making things that they need, please get in touch with us and contact Sophie, and that'd be fantastic. I'll hand over to Gemma maybe to give us a sort of short highlights of Green Minds and ways of getting involved and taking some of the ideas forward.
So like I said, I think I've said this probably a couple of times now, but next week we've got couple of programs coming out, lots of events. We're keen to get people out and about, trying some of these experiments and opportunities over the coming months, you know, with it not just being summer, but also COVID as well. So please look out for that. Have a look at our website as well. In terms of how you can get involved, there's lots of information on there. There are so many different ways you can get involved, whether it's taking part in our rewilding network, whether it's, you know, getting involved in the citizen science experiments, or just, you know, supporting education, community events, getting other people involved as well and inspired. So yeah, have a look at the website and sign up for the newsletter, because then you'll get all the updates as well. And also obviously our social media at Nature Plymouth, and tweeting at #GreenMinds. But yeah, so there's lots coming up and lots to look out for. But I know we're short of time, so I'll let everyone talk.
Yeah, over to you, Jenny.
Yeah, hi everybody. Again, it's a fantastic evening. So again, with Moth to Flame project, it's all about that thing of recognizing everybody making their small changes, their small differences. That I'm guessing from coming this evening, you're all making many of those small changes, and really sending a message up to COP about giving the world leaders and decision makers permission, and, you know, asking them to please make changes and to help us to make changes. So any way that you'd like to get involved, whether that's making a moth, whether that's sharing the project with friends, family, your community, whether it's running your own moth making event, coming along and finding out more about solar panels. We're going to be running some workshops with the Fab Lab with Smart Citizens to create our own solar powered illuminated artworks. We'd love for you to come and join us, and we've got lots of online events again available. If you check out the website, that's probably the best thing, online, and also really exciting, hopefully some in-person stuff happening soon, which I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, that's what we're working on, some face-to-face workshops soon, so that will be good, definitely. Thanks, Jenny, and over to you, Owen.
Yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet. For us, it's always great if people can follow what we do on our social media platforms. We try to keep it informative and, you know, not spam you with stuff. And also check out the website and look at the membership options and what you get for being part of it. And we're looking to sort of develop our offer in terms of like the incremental levels you can at the price you can become a member. But yeah, there's some really good stuff on there of how to get involved. Yeah, no, the website is there. Yeah, so.
Thanks, Owen. That's great. And just to finish up, what we did for you guys to sort of find out a bit more about the upcoming events and activities that some of the organizations involved in the meetup tonight are delivering, and other ones that were not here, but I'm thinking of Environment Plymouth, for instance, the Plymouth Startup Weekend. You've got different things to sort of look forward to in terms of workshops and yeah, different events. You can find everything that we've got coming up with the GreenMinds project, how to follow them and their newsletter. Same for us. We've got a great talk coming up next week around the sort of 3D printing houses with local clay, the workshop with art and energy, and more things coming up. So do have a look on the boards. As Jenny said, they've got the workshop, Moth to a Flame, Pollenize have an internship opportunity as well. So look that up. Environment Plymouth asked everyone to, you know, take small action, which I'm sure we are already doing, but to improve, you know, and protect the environment for Earth Day tomorrow. So we've got a series of workshops from Plymouth Startup Weekend happening next week. So do have a look. And this is not stopping here. We'll keep in touch, and you know, we sort of had a bit of an introduction earlier. during the meetup, and we'll continue the conversation. I do really hope we'll do that. There are some fantastic ideas that came up this evening, and what we did to really keep in touch is create a Slack channel. So you can find it just over here. We'll share all that in the follow-up email as well. But if you do click on to keep in touch and carry out the conversation, that's going to take you onto the Slack where we can just continue the conversation basically. And yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for your energy. Yeah, it's so good to see all of you and to hear about the different ideas, different initiatives going on. And yeah, we'll hopefully see some of the ideas come to life fairly soon, which would be fantastic. Thanks, everyone.